KXBS on 92.1 coming soon.
KXBS.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
August 20th, 2018. Dustin Brakebill filling in for Governor Don this evening on the one and only Stockton SJC, and it's the Fugazi edition. And now joining us, City Council member for District 5, the one and only Christina Fugazi.
Hello, hello, hello.
It's been a while.
It has, because I did my office hours at City Hall for the month of July, and I actually started at 8 in the morning and went till 6 at night.
Yeah.
And I had 19 visitors. So, yeah, I think I kind of hit that one out of the ballpark.
Well, yeah, you spent part of your vacation doing that last month, so.
You know what? I take 1 week a year.
I know.
That's it. Otherwise, I'm always on duty.
Well, it's that time of the year going back to school, and then you have a council meeting tomorrow night, so you're getting back into the grind of
absolutely.
Working both jobs.
It is. I know somebody said to me, somebody made a post like, oh, are you having your students do any of your official business? I'm like, no, my students are doing their homework. They're not doing any business for me.
Yeah, so what's new with you? And I saw you were busy this weekend.
I was busy this weekend. Stockton Con, the 7th annual Stockton Con was this weekend. Mm-hmm. And, you talk about things going on in Stockton and you have to worry or be concerned. But, I mean, this is an incredible event. Mm-hmm. And Mike, the organizer, Mike Millerick, and I went to high school together. And when he came up with this idea to do this in Stockton, I mean, he tells the story. He never anticipated it to be as big as it has gotten. And the first year, I mean, he was like, oh, we were thinking like 500, 1,000 people would show up. And he had 3,000 people. I mean, and so being there this weekend, I decided to really get into it because I was awarding a commendation to Justin Ryland, who is the co-creator for Rick and Morty, the Rick and Morty show, which was the #1 comedy in 2017.
Pickle Rick.
Yeah. And so anyway, I presented this. He kept saying key to the city. I said, I didn't bring the key to the city. But anyway, I was there and I said, hey, Mike, should, I get into it and get into the cosplay? And he's like, yeah. And he had said, how about you come as Wonder Woman? I go, oh, that's Julie Dammer Brown's position. She's Wonder Woman. And I said, and I don't have any red boots. So I showed up as Catwoman.
Yeah.
And went around and spoke to so many people. And like I said, it was nicely air conditioned in that arena. I mean, usually I'm cold in there. But with that cat suit on, because, fur is warm. Yeah.
People don't know the Stockton heat, the ice gets really cold in the arena, so you could feel it all around, even like walking around during the day when nobody's there, because I was an intern there before, and you're like, man, it's really cold in here, and you don't realize it.
It's always cold in there, so it felt actually really good. You had all those people there. I mean, Captain Underpants was like this 380-pound guy in tighty whities. I mean, literally, he was wearing like white briefs, not boxer briefs, like regular white men's brief underwear, and had a cape on. And I saw a lot of things, a lot of people. But the one thing I saw consistently was smiles on people's faces. The officers were walking around looking bored because it's just good family fun for all ages. And
it brings revenue down to downtown Stockton and Stockton in general, because people come from all over Northern California to see some of these celebrities and people.
Yeah, I met somebody, husband, wife, and their kids from Visalia that drove up for the day.
It's like 3 hours away.
I was hoping they'd stay over, but they bought food, they bought items, they were shopping with the vendors, and after I left, because I didn't buy food there because it's kind of expensive, I went to go to Masaki's in my Catwoman outfit. and people were taking my pictures, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, it's Stockton Con." I'm like, "Yeah, it's Saturday. You still have time to go on Sunday." But I went in there to eat, and they're like, "Oh, we don't open yet." I'm like, "Oh, bummers." So then went to Denny's out south, and sure enough, I go in there. My student is the hostess. Her dad is the manager. I sit down, and 2 other elected officials are there eating, and they come up and go, meow. And so it just, like I said, a real fun family event, all ages, all races, all ethnic backgrounds. I mean, you name it. Everybody, anybody was there.
And next year, it's actually earlier in the calendar. It's going to be August 3rd and 4th, which brings maybe more possibilities because it's earlier on in the month in summertime. So it'd be fun to see what happens next year.
Yeah. I think it's great. And kudos to Mike.
Yeah, he does a lot of hard work with that.
And he gives money to the United Way. A portion of all ticket sales go to the United Way and St. Mary's Dining Hall. I mean, as of the end of the 6th year, he had raised over $160,000. I mean, it just, like I said, it is a win, 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 win all the way around.
And it's growing every year. So 7th year and 8th year next year, it's going to be
packed.
bigger. Yeah,
it was packed. It was hard. I went to do like a live shot and talk about the floor, and the vendor was like, "Can you not stand so close because I'm trying to sell stuff here?" And I was like, "Oh." But you know what I found out worked?
Yeah.
You know, there were people in line to talk to, you know, these stars and you know, these celebrities. And I started welcoming them, saying, "Hello, I'm Councilwoman Christina Fugazi. Here's my card, and I want to welcome you to the city of Stockton, and I want to advertise this event. So would you mind answering a couple questions and if I interview you on camera?" And everybody said, "Sure." But that really was the ticket to me getting to have a moment with them, within which to let the public know that this event's going on and how fabulous it truly is.
So it's a great event, Stockton Con, every next year, August 3rd and 4th, as I mentioned earlier on in the calendar for August. But it was Mike Millerick does a great job, and it's getting bigger every year. So it's going to be fun to see where it goes in a couple of years. And as we said, it brings revenue to Stockton, and it fills the arena because
during 2 days
during the summer that's empty a lot of the time. So it's great to see it busy one weekend and. We got a lot of people in Stockton.
And the parking revenue. I guess parking was like $40.
Wow.
I'm like, it only cost $16 to get in. If you bought your tickets in advance, it was $12 or something like that. And kids 11 and under or something were free. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, I told people, park at City Hall, it's free. I'm like, oops, did I just take away revenue from the city? But listen, hey, you're bringing your whole family. I mean, there was a family of pirates,
awesome.
A husband and wife and their 4 kids, and they said they go every year. They live here in Stockton. They get all dressed up, and they said they go to other
Comic-Cons,
events, but they're like, this one's at home. We go right here. I mean, they love it.
Yeah, and it's I know Mike's been doing other kind of cons recently in Stockton, so it's great to see different stuff. So what else is going on after Stockton Con?
Well,
what's new with you?
Well, before Stockton Con, you know, I was in the water, the Delta.
Oh yeah, you don't say.
So yeah, I got tired of the can being kicked down the road, and you know, let's just talk about cleanups in general. So I get messages all the time about how poorly the city looks in various areas. You know, even here along the mile, there's a resident that that we as council members get messages from regularly about the trash and debris. And this last message, I just was like, if you really want to see trash and debris, I'm going to come pick you up and I'm going to take you somewhere to really show you, like, you know, Weber Point there. I mean, it just was really, it was in really bad shape. It had been that way on 4th of July. I mean, when we did the parade, I was embarrassed because, I mean, here we were lining up and you looked over the edge and you're like, ugh. So I finally just said, enough's enough, and I went out there. And then 2 days after that, there was a crew out there cleaning it up. So I was like, hey, I don't care why you're out here. I'm just glad you're out here. Thank you so much for cleaning up.
Yeah, and you're a big proponent of that. I see that all the time. You're always either at an event or cleaning some part of your district or any part of Stockton up.
Right, right. Well, I mean, I mean that's important to me. So we have coastal cleanup coming up in the month of September. Coastal cleanup is international. It is around the world, and it happens the third Saturday of September every year. And so I've been a site captain for at least the last about 8 or 9 years, but I've been doing it for 13 years. Might be a little bit more than that. I work with Bill Maxwell. I send students over to him. He's the site captain at American Legion Park, just a stone's throw from here. But I will have anywhere between 100 and 150 kids show up for coastal cleanup. And here's the deal. It's real easy to say, oh, look at that garbage there on the ground. But it's much easier just to pick it up. But if it's a huge enough pile, it becomes overwhelming. So my grandma used to say, many hands make for light work. So the more people you have showing up to these cleanup opportunities, the more we can get done. And the city, we allocate funds for these cleanups too. Actually, in tomorrow's agenda, there is one-time discretionary money that we have that council will be discussing where we think that money should go. And so I hope it's okay. I segue right into that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we have $450,000 of one-time monies that we can spend on whatever we want. Now, mind you, there were 5 pages of things that needed our attention. Staff has recommended a number of these, so they recommended that we continue with the Sheriff Community Corp contract at $75,000, but they go out, it is extremely affordable. I go into Ask Stockton, I say, hey, they left some couches and a mattress on let's say Monday. On Tuesday, they're out picking it up. And if it's not them, they work a couple days a week, and then we send out Public Works to clean up the other.
And if people don't know what Ask Stockton is, can you give them a fresh reminder?
Okay, so if you go onto the city's website, there's a yellow box to the right. In that yellow box, the first thing there is Ask Stockton, where you can click on that and actually file your own report saying, hey, there's a pothole here, there's trash there, there's a car that's been in front of my house for a month, and I don't know whose it is. I mean, you can report animal issues, code enforcement issues, public work issues. There's a water leak. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can report on Ask Stockton. My number one things, the things that I normally report are potholes, abandoned cars, and trash. Also high grass. Because it's been so dry, I want that high grass cut down because I don't want there to be a fire. Or if I see a building that obviously is unoccupied, legally unoccupied, and we need to get people out, I will call code enforcement to go over and board it up, or contact the owner to have them board it up, or code enforcement goes over there, because the last thing we need is, things to happen to people's property.
And that brings up a great subject, because I know tomorrow night, I don't know how much you want to get into this, because I know this is not your district, but right here on the Miracle Mile, there's been an issue with...
You know what? The whole city is my district.
Exactly. So there's been an issue with the whole Empire building, the old Impresso building, that coffee place, and other businesses right there.
I would meet there regularly with people.
It was a great revenue for this area, and it's kind of sad it's not there anymore.
I love their sweet and mango tea. That's what I would go there for.
What is going on with that building? People want to know, because it's all over Facebook, it's all over social media. KXVS was on the scene when the fire happened a couple weeks ago.
I shared KXVS's video.
By the way, we got over 20,000 views on that video. Great job by Governor Don, who was lucky to be here that night and get the coverage for other news outlets and us here at KXVS. What's going on with the Empire building? Everybody wants to know.
Okay.
From your point of view.
So, from my point of view, this actually goes back further than most people realize. I used to be on the planning commission before I was a city council member, and I knew when I was a planning commissioner that there was a business that had some potential violations and permits that weren't pulled because there was work done. So I personally knew of that, and I reported it and said, we just need to make sure that everything's kosher, that it's done properly.
Yeah.
But since then, right after we had the East Weber Street pallet fires, we really kind of, I think, ramped things up with the fear of, the destruction of fire. But apparently the history is that this had been going on for a number of years, and there was something like 13 pages of violations. Now, some of the violations were simple, like unplug something or plug something in or, remove some tape or things like that. But then there were some more serious that potentially could lead to fire. And then some other issues inside the building that, like I said, were just much more serious. So apparently, according to city staff, the building owner did not address them in a timely enough manner. So at that point, according to the city staff, in order to save lives, we had to do an injunction and get the people out of the building.
And it's been about a year now, basically. What's the city do from here? I know tomorrow night this will be big because a lot of people will show up talking about this issue, particularly because of what happened a couple of weeks ago. What do you expect tomorrow night to happen, and what do you expect from public comment-wise? Basically, what people will bring up, because people are saying, well, the owner had enough time, and that's what some people are saying, and he had enough time to fix these issues, and the city took it away. And some are saying maybe the city got afraid of what happened in the ghost fire in Oakland. What's going to happen tomorrow night?
Well, let me just tell you from my perspective.
Okay,
because I can't speak on behalf of anybody else. But I would just like to say that it is greatly missed. That those businesses, I would go to Casa Flores, and in 5 minutes after ordering my food, it would be in front of me. I would get my beef taco dinner, and I was good to go with flour tortillas because I'd make a burrito too. So I miss that very much so. I miss going to Impresso. It was an easy place for me to meet. I only live just outside of District 4.
And that place was busy from 6 a.m. to midnight when it closed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, I used the internet there. I would get my drink, and I wouldn't feel guilty about, plugging in. Sometimes I didn't get a drink. But it was a comfortable place for me to meet with people.
Exactly.
And you literally could see all kinds of people.
And a lot of college students there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just, I like I said, I sorely miss it. I feel for businesses such as Constant Carter, who spent all that money to improve the space, something like $89,000, and she wasn't even fully operating for more than 2 weeks and was out. We didn't even make it to the ribbon cutting. No. So I definitely feel for her and all the businesses. All the businesses were there. And I think that there's, like I said, enough blame to go around. I think at some point we need to notify. We don't have to tell the business owners, divulge any private information. But we do need to let them know that, hey, there are violations on this building that need to be fixed, and your business could potentially be in danger of being closed.
Yeah.
I think that's just me. I think that's the right thing to do. I would also say that at this point, we need to secure the building.
Yes.
And when I say we, I mean all of us, and we need to help in any way to
preserve it.
Yeah, and I went on a date, there. The boy tried to get fresh. No, it's true. But I remember going in high school to the movies there. And so, without my parents. My brother used to come down and do the Rocky Horror Picture Show. They would do that midnight showing, and he would act it out.
Nice.
He used to do that all the time. And so it just makes me really sad that it's in the state that it is, because unfortunately when a building is left vacant, people are going to listen, even when people live in their homes, people find a way to get in.
Yeah, and before the fire that a couple weeks ago on, I believe, a Tuesday, there was couple transients living in there, so about 3 or 4 cop cars showed up and surrounded the building and took the people who were living in there out, and a
Right.
couple days later, we saw what happened.
And the same for the Western Pacific Train Depot downtown that got burned. That was a historical building. It got burned similar. There were people that found a way to get in and then, started a fire. They were cooking or trying to keep warm or whatever. But it's very unfortunate. And like I said, I feel for all sides of the issue. Of course, I would hate for anybody ever to get hurt. But I think communication is key. Communication. We need to talk to one another, and we need to be truthful and transparent. And so I think that is something that didn't happen in this case by all parties, because you have people telling different stories.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, there's your story, and there's my story, and then somewhere in between there's the truth, the real story. And so I want to move forward.
Yep.
I want us to move forward. I would like nothing more. I know Impresso is going to be moving downtown into the old Starbucks, which, hey, I'm happy that isn't being left vacant. But I miss right here. Yeah. I can walk here. I could bring my dog with me here, and we could sit outside.
Yeah.
I really miss it. And like I said, I feel for the business owners.
So how much of tomorrow night will you expect that to be the main topic?
Well, public comment is at the very end of the meeting.
Yeah.
And because we have a number of issues that will also take up some time, it's for those that are willing to stick around.
Yeah.
And so going back to the items for discretionary spending, I only got through one, and that was the sheriff's cleanup. There's also an item for homeless cleanups. Now, when I say homeless cleanups, I'm talking about where it gets to the point where there are piles of trash, like, for example, in the slough, vehicles, abandoned vehicles, a number of things that are a health and safety issue, within which the city goes down. They notice everybody there. They let them know, like on a Monday or Tuesday, that, hey, we're coming in Saturday to clean up. And literally huge piles. They fill dumpster after dumpster with trash from places like along the slough. And they clean it out. And there are rats that are as big as cats that come out from there. There's needles and condoms, and which I'm glad to see, because we have an outbreak of hepatitis. We have an outbreak of syphilis. We have really some serious health concerns that end up happening in these homeless encampments. And so they go and it gets cleaned up. And it's a joint effort to do that. One of the other items is the one that we've had the last 2 years is keeping, and this is staff recommendation, is keeping their $150,000 with $60,000 going to the mayor and $15,000 to each council member to do projects or help support efforts in their district or that are good for the community. For example, the teen center. Stockton leadership chose the Children's Museum and the Teen Center as their projects to work on. The bowling alleys now work at the Teen Center, and I don't really ever remember them working.
Yeah, I took a visit there last year, and I was like, they're like, we don't know what to do with this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're working now.
Nice.
And so I took some of my district funds, and it went there. I mean, all of my district funds went to projects, work or efforts in my district. One of them was Stop the Violence, which I don't know who can argue with that, or Break the Silence. Another one was the Stockton Beautiful Weber Street project, which is a beautification project. Who's going to, of course, there are going to be people out there that argue against it, but take it or leave it. I would love that $150,000 to actually go to something called the Pit Stop, which it would only need half of that money. And the Pit Stop is a portable bathroom system that goes around, that has scheduled stops within which that homeless could go to the bathroom in the appropriate place.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is on the west side of the brand new courthouse, between the Bank of America building, what was the Bank of America building, and the brand new courthouse, there was a pile almost 2 feet high of human defecation. Right there. Against the building.
Yeah, right next to the courthouse.
Right? Yeah. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. City Hall, on the day that I had my office day, I got there before 8 o'clock because I went and got coffee at Starbucks. I got donuts from Donuts to Go so that people would have something when they came in and met with me. With my own money, okay? Not city money, not taxpayer money. But anyway, as I was getting there, there was a crew cleaning up part of the steps of City Hall because now that has become the place where people go to the bathroom, 1 and 2. And the smell, human, yes, excrement is very, very smelly.
Yeah, because some of these people don't know where to go to the bathroom because some businesses are afraid to let them in.
Businesses don't let them.
Yeah. So,
I mean, down here, because somebody will lock the door and then start destroying it or set a fire
or stay in there. So, yeah. So
where do people go then when they have to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, it's human sense and kindness, basically, to find some way so homeless people can go to the bathroom without being judged because they have to. It's human nature. So where do they go? Yeah. Right.
I mean, input, output, So I really, it's about $70,000 for this pit stop. It's 2 units. People can get cleaned up. They can wash up. They can go to the bathroom. And I figure Downtown Stockton Alliance said they would manage it and drive it around the area because the largest concentration of homelessness is downtown, in the downtown area, because that's where St. Mary's is. That's where Gospel Center is. That's where Human Services Agency, behavioral health. I mean, the methadone clinic.
Yeah, and if you look anywhere in California or America, usually the most highest population for homelessness is a downtown area.
Right. Well, it's where they get their services. Yeah. You have the Stockton Shelter for the Homeless, but if you're out and about and you have to go and you're not that clean, so I would really like to fund that project. Because like I said, Downtown Stockton Alliance said that they will manage it, replenish it, clean it. They have somebody who said they would store it and take care of it, when it's not being used. And I think, man, that's a great partnership. That's a public-private partnership. That's how we want things to work in this city. So I would really personally, I would like that funded. Now, I don't know about my other council mates, but if you had to go to the bathroom and there was no place for you to go, I mean, you would want to have a place like this. And especially, women. I mean, come on. They have a cycle. That's just, you need to be thinking about your health.
What else is on the agenda?
So the other thing on there is we have restricted funds. We have $1.3 million in restricted funds, and staff is recommending $650,000. You'll like this one, to do a new scoreboard at the ballpark at Banner Island.
Yeah, if people don't know, haven't been to Banner Island Ballpark, there's a couple things wrong with the scoreboard, and it's about, I believe, how old's Banner Island now?
It's about 13 years old.
10 plus years old. 13 around there.
Yeah.
So, 2004. Yeah, 2005. There's a part of the section that's out, and an interesting thing, as I heard from somebody tell me one time, the company that made that scoreboard went out of business. So
we're having to go on eBay to get parts.
Yeah. So it needs to be fixed quickly now because it's one of the best ballparks in minor league baseball in any area of the country, and not to have a video board working is a little frustrating.
Yeah, to say the least. But I kind of believe that we have larger issues too.
Agree with you.
And so again, 37 items on a list that could use some assistance. And here's the deal. I think of Bull Durham. You remember that movie?
It's one of the best movies of all time.
Yes.
Kevin Costner's.
Where they have they flip it over.
Yeah.
They have somebody walking across, a raised step.
Or the number system like Wrigley Field or Fenway Park. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, could we squeak by with something else for a year or two?
Yeah.
And I said, why don't we call up the A's organization? The A's are doing really well right now. We are the, the
affiliate.
the single A, team for them. Maybe they could kick us down some funds, or maybe, Dallas Braden, or I don't know who. Maybe not Dallas Braden, but somebody would say, hey, I'll give you $100,000 to it, or hey, I'll pay for it as long as you put my name on it.
Hey, people love to have a competition.
I'll put anybody's name on there for $650,000. If you pay for it, I'll put your name on it. So that's the biggest item on the list that staff's recommending.
Okay.
The second is $500,000 for the Oak Park Ice Arena upgrades.
Which brings up another great thing recently that I don't know if a lot of people know, but St. Mary's High School started a hockey program.
Yes.
And actually on the station we have a show about that, a brand new show about that. But it's great for the community. And Oak Park's a great place to go. That's where I kind of learned how to ice skate a little bit. I wasn't really good at it. But it's great to make improvements at some of these places.
Well, right, because that tends to be what has happened to this city. When we went through the bankruptcy, things were already deteriorating and we're not getting the attention that they needed. And then when we went through the bankruptcy, we cut to the bone. We let go how many police officers. We were at our lowest staffing levels, for the number of people that we had in Stockton, and we really, really needed to, do what we could with what we had, which means things like Oak Park Ice Arena. They were low on the list of priorities.
Put back on the burner, yeah.
Yeah, and so my students, if you want to go check it out, there's always a Groupon. You can get a Groupon and you can go ice skate there and check it out for yourself. But the price is really reasonable, and you might say, "Oh, well, jack up the price." Well, guess what? Then people aren't going to use it. So, is the glass half empty or half full? I would like to say that some money is better than no money.
And it's all year round, basically?
Yeah. And so, anyway, that's on there. $147,000 is recommended for Van Busker floor rehabilitation. So their floor is really warped over there. Now, I remember when the mayor first ran for city council and he had his campaign kickoff there. I went to his campaign kickoff, and the gym looked great. My nephews played basketball there. They were in a league for middle school. It was a citywide league, and I thought it looked fantastic. So I don't know exactly what happened, if there was a leak or what happened, but $147,000. Now my feeling is this: look at Arnold Rue. People take care of that. We do this, people got to take care of it. We have to maintain it. We can't just keep putting money into things and then not take care of it. Yeah. Because it makes no sense. Because there are plenty of other projects we could put that money towards. So, and then the last one is $3,000, because we had exactly $1.3 million. So $3,000 left over, and that is going to go to a tennis court out in Western Ranch to convert it to a futsal court. And futsal is a huge emerging sport. A lot of people enjoy it very much. And so it's only $3,000 to convert it. And instead of those tennis courts remaining unused, you have people out there that will do a sport that they enjoy. And people will drive from other neighborhoods to go use it because there aren't a whole lot of them.
Yeah, tennis courts are kind of going out of style right now in North America. So,
well, I will tell you that my nephews went and played tennis yesterday, and they enjoy it, and I enjoy tennis. Yeah. But yeah, it's you got to have the equipment.
Yeah, and it's expensive, and you have to buy the rackets and the balls, and you have to find the place to go play it at. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are what the items that the funding that staff is requesting those projects be funded. But again, like I said, there were many things on there. Everything from youth employment to public safety radios for the police officers to tree stump eliminating, because we have all these trees that were dying that have been cut, and the stumps are still there.
I know, I go by Oak Park like every day and I see it and I'm like, yeah, there's a new stump down. Yeah.
Yeah. the other things like my pit stop is on here, soccer pitches, gunshot detection technology, that's Shot Spotter. The other one is something that I recommended when we were talking about bills for people who, you know, had something traumatic that happened, that had an unexpected, you know, hardship, and, you know, they couldn't pay their, you know, utility, trash, garbage bill, whatever. Not utility, but their city bill. We have the CARE program. Not we, but PG&E has the CARE program. Comcast has a program. I mean, City of Lodi has a program for lower income, you know, individuals. We don't have anything for people. Nothing. And so this would be on a case by case. They'd have to apply for it. It wouldn't be automatic. But when people find themselves in a particular position, because what they do is that bill then goes on to their tax bill, and then their you know, taxes go up, which means their house payment goes up, which means then they can't pay their house payment, which means then they lose their house, and then they're out on the streets, and then you have a vacant house, and it's just a domino effect. It's just bad all the way around. So if we had some kind of program that people could take advantage of, and not take advantage, but participate in, I think that it would help a lot of people out. And I'm not talking about a lot of money. I'm saying if you needed, let's say, $250, you know, to, you know, get caught up or something like that before it becomes a bigger issue and it becomes $2,000. So, so that is one of the agenda items on here. The other agenda item on here has to do with our council meetings. So, as you may recall, in January, our council meetings got reduced. Actually, it was before that. Because one of the council members asked if we could change the days of our meetings to another Tuesday, but we already had the calendar set because they had meetings on Tuesday with the school district that they had to attend, and so I voted no. I'm like, the calendar is set, that people expect for us to be there on those days and to do the people's business. But I was outvoted. And now it's on our agenda again to stay at one meeting a month. Now, I will say there are 2 months where we have 2 meetings. We have 2 meetings in the month of May and 2 meetings in the month of December. But the rest of the time, it's 1 meeting a month.
What's the average meeting-wise for other city councils in California? Do you know? Like some of the other cities?
It's a minimum of 2.
Okay.
And a city of our size, there's a lot of business. So we had when we went down to 1 meeting, we had some agendas that had 35 items on the consent. So that was millions of dollars listed to be spent, or programs to be involved in, or permissions to be given on the consent agenda. 35 that we didn't even discuss. I mean, we could pull them, and I always pull something. Like, I'll be pulling things from the agenda tomorrow. But it could potentially make for a long meeting, and if you have public comment at the end, and you're still sitting, some people, it's like 9 o'clock. And, you know, I would like to have a time to speak, but I got to go. I've been here since 5:30.
Yeah, and you have a job tomorrow morning.
Job or kids or whatever. Or you got to go to work. And then we would have study sessions. They have 1 study session per month with tentative, because we absolutely have to have our budget hearings. So those are considered study sessions. But we haven't had a study session since June 5th. And our last council meeting was July 17th. So 35 days as of tomorrow since we've had a council meeting. And there's been a lot in this city that has happened, such as the fires at, you know, the Empire Theater. Me, you know, working on cleaning up, you know, the situation at Weber Point. The homeless, I mean, it's just, the slough exploded with with people. So there's been a lot of issues, and I'm just barely scratching the surface of things. And that's not to mention all the positive things going on, that people would like to come to a council meeting and encourage people to attend, or people out in the public that say, I want to go to a council meeting and share this problem I'm having, or this issue I'm having, or share this solution I've got for this issue or that issue. I mean, I feel like we're stifling public process. Now, yes, they can send us messages. Yes, they can call us. Yes, they can email us. Yes, they can social media us. But it's not the same as doing it out in the public, in a public forum, where people can go on and watch it televised later. You can go online. I shared the last meeting with my students, because I have a new group of students this year, and part of the requirement for my AP Human Geography class is that they go to a government meeting, any government meeting. It could be the Parks and Rec meeting. It could be a school board meeting. It could be something in their city. And then they have to come back and report on it and how it potentially affects their lives, decisions that are made, what they thought was most interesting, what surprised them. But I really want them to understand how government works and how they have a voice, and they should use it. Because while I tout and say I'm the voice of District 5, I work for you and I speak for you, if you don't tell me, the things that you want or what you expect, then I am saying, well, I got 2 messages out of 50,000, people in my district. I want public participation. So I am very happy that people from the mile, or those that care about the mile, are going to be at our meeting. I'm happy that people that are helping with the Inspire, which is the Spire project that's going into Martin Luther King Martin Luther King Park across from City Hall, where they saved the spire from the fountain that was at Hunter Square, where the new courthouse went. They're bringing that proposal before us. When I was on Planning Commission, they brought it before us. They put it out to the public, and it is going to become a sundial. They have seats around it and flowers, and it's going to be beautiful, because we do have some really nice parks that are underutilized. We have other parks. Speaking of complaints, Victory Park. I get a number of complaints regarding Victory Park. People that want a pool there.
I was going to just ask you about that.
Yeah, so
it's summertime. People talked about it back in June.
Oh, they've been talking about it
for a while, longer than that. But
that pool has been out of service for more than 5 years, and so the public has showed up to many public forums and meetings saying they want a pool there. And now the the consultant, who doesn't live in Stockton, that will remain anonymous because I don't know who they are. I'd have to look it up. But they recommended a water feature. I'm like Weber Point, like water feature? Because children need to learn how to swim. Everybody needs to know how to swim. Or at least float or dog paddle or something. Because there's too many people that drown. And so by only having one meeting a month, not only do you you're not able to disseminate information, but a lot of things lose their fire.
Yeah, and then they go back to the back of the pile once again, and then something happens.
And then people are like, on to the next thing.
Yeah.
On to the next thing. And they're like, oh, yeah, but remember when this happened? So when the first fire happened at the Empire, people said, I'm going to the next council meeting. So it's Tuesday, right? And I said, no, not till the 21st. And then the second fire happened. Okay, I'm going this week. No, we're not having a meeting this week. It's the 21st. And so when things like that happen, I really feel for the people, because I know how important it is to have that type of contact with your elected officials. And your elected officials then can instruct staff to address those concerns.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of people tomorrow night, hopefully waiting for public comment. We only have a couple minutes left. What's your main focus for your district tomorrow night for District 5? Well,
I've already got quite a few comments regarding the meetings. people definitely want the focus of, discretionary money to go towards doing stuff for the homeless, which, like I said, the pit stop, which isn't recommended.
Which is a great idea.
Yeah. And so, between the meetings and this, there's also, people might not realize, so on the agenda too is that Clean Sweep, the program that we brought up in January regarding putting the homeless to work, cleaning up our roadways through Caltrans. So that's on the agenda as well. There's just, like I said, there's a number of things. Oh, also the grand jury report on the Office of Violence Prevention. Now, the city allocates funds to that. That program almost mirrors the cash for criminals, with the exception of, we're not paying them really not to commit crimes. But, that program does work with those shot callers, or whatever you would like to refer to them as, in our community to help lessen the violence in our city. So there is going to be a response to the civil grand jury's report on there. And then like I said, there are 16 consent items on there, everything from affordable housing to fixing. We have a sewer trunk line that needs to get fixed, so that's a no-brainer. That needs to be fixed. But also on there is about our new library community center that's going to be going up by McNair. So we're going to approve the contract for that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, North Stockton area.
Yeah. But listen, do you know how expensive it is to do the prep, the architectural designs and engineering and environmental work?
It takes a lot of prep and money to do that. Yeah,
$1.3 million. That's not even to put a shovel in the dirt.
To build it. No, that's for the blueprints.
That's just to do. Yeah, and so I just was like, whoa, that is a lot of money. But when it's done, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be something in Northeast Stockton that is really needed, and I hope everybody goes out and uses it and takes care of it. But that's another item on there. There's plenty. So I hope to see you show up, stand up, speak up at our council meeting tomorrow, 5:30, City Hall, 2nd floor, Council Chambers, 425 North El Dorado, 95202.
And as you said earlier in the program, you care about all of Stockton. So if people want to reach out to you and they want to reach out to somebody on the city council, but they can reach out to you, how can they reach out to you?
So all of the council members, our email is the same. It's our first name dot last name at stocktonca.gov. Now you can send it to DIST, DIST1, DIST2, DIST3, all the districts at stocktonca.gov, but that goes to somebody else who reads it and then forwards it to us. So the best way to get in touch with us is Christina.Fugazi at stocktonca.gov, and that's the same for everybody, including the mayor's office.
Well, it's been always fun as the Fugazi edition. Back again. You took last month off and getting in the grind of going back to work.
Different location. I didn't take it off.
I know you didn't take it off, but took it off from the radio show for 1 month. But that's great to have Christina back. So this has been it's, as always, a special edition of Stockton SJC, the Fugazi edition. And tomorrow night's a big city council meeting. A lot of great stuff covered tonight. And always thank you for coming by, Christina.
Hey, I love being here, Dustin, and thank you for being such a great host.
Well, I'm Dustin Brakebill filling in for Governor Don right here on Stockton SJC with the Fugazi edition. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And for more information on the Voice of Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org. From the Miracle Mile, good night.